In my perspective, obviously, I'm only 15 months into
Yes.
feeling like I'm using it. But no, because I think absolutely not at all. Because to me, tactical periodization is how do I create a morphocycle where tactically we are improving our game model, cognitively, emotionally, physically, the players are getting what they need to, in an appropriate way. To me, that is tactical periodization, right? So sometimes I think we had a lot of talk on this in the class of there's the misperceptions of what tactical periodization is of like these are my acquisition days, this is how I do my morpho cycle. This is if I'm not doing this, then I'm not doing tactical periodization. No, I mean tactical periodization is putting your game model first, dosing physically, emotional, cognitive in the right ways over the course of the week to take the team where they need to go to. That's the essence of my understanding of tactical periodization. So that it's very intuitive. In a lot of ways, it's very intuitive, and it makes sense how it why it would work with every group. Now, some groups you have to change what you do 2 days before the game. And your environment might mean you do something different, and the age of the team might mean it always looks different from one team to another, but that doesn't make it less or more tactical periodization. Or I would say that I had a very misinformed sense of what tactical periodization was, and I think if you look in the English, right, because there is research in English sports science about what tactical periodization it is, and it is very much match day -4 is your strength day, and match day -3 is your endurance day, and match day -2 is your speed day, match day -1 is your reaction days, and a lot of people do that, and I think I was one that, and we think that we're doing tactical periodization because that's what research says, and I think I very much followed that model. And as I said, it's what I found is on match day -4, I probably was doing way too much change of direction. Match day -3, I probably wasn't, and then the 3 days before the game, I probably was not having as high of a load or as a working on the complex game model as well as we should have been. And probably match day -2, the 2 days before the game, I was doing too much as well. An overall volume of work, I think. So that was my preferred way of doing things prior to tactical periodization. Now it's interesting because I had a previous coach before that was very much in favor of, and we also see this in some of the English sports science cultures of 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, which, so if you play Saturday, it's Monday and Tuesday train, then Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday train, Saturday game. That was something that you still see people trying. And it's interesting to me because after this experience with tactical periodization, it literally makes the least amount of sense, because Wednesday should be the day when you have your non-negotiable training of maximum, you're training maximally over the week and you're taking that day off. And yet there are still people taken from rugby sports science that believe in this 2 day on, 1 day off, 2 day on type methodology. And that's where it's hard, because then we have coaches from many different backgrounds, and they come used to doing a -4, -3, -2. They're used to that. I still find I use some of the labels that they're used to, even though it doesn't have as much meaning to me. We had this discussion.
It's important for them. It's something they can grasp.
I had this really good discussion with George, and we were talking about endurance day, and I still might use the term with my coaches, endurance day, even though it's not an endurance day. It's not. It's not a long, slow, aerobic type day.
Because for you, the label is not important.
Yes, yeah.
What is important is the content of this
Yes.
game.
Yeah. So I think our role is to shift the coaching staff into what understanding the content and not the labels, I think. And that takes time, but I think that can be done. And we're not all from the Portuguese culture. We're used to the same naming. But also, I think to me, it's one of the interesting things, and me and you discussed that about the naming of the days within tactical periodization. You've already seen an evolution and shift in the last 3, 4, 5 years where, it used to be, the yellow day, the green day, the blue day, and now you have, shadings that kind of reflect the intermittent nature of the training sessions a little bit better than the previous, kind of color code of the days. We're all trying to get the right name or symbols to attach to the content, and I think that's the challenge sometimes. Then how you're managing the load, and I think once you have a 6-day week instead of the 7-day week, then already you can't have the green day like you normally would. But can you create something that is close, right? You still have to address the game model. You have to do something that it's figuring out how with the coach how you're creating something that is what I find, and I think maybe it's from you, some of the discussions you've had of, we can create some of the same sizes and complexities, but now the volumes have to be really short if we're going to do something in bigger spaces. And I think we've started doing, I think I've had success doing that, right? You're not going to do 2 times 10 minutes of 11 against 11 if you have one less day over the course of the week. But can you do a little bit smaller field of 11 against 11 and 2 times 4 minutes? So you're trying to manage the times a lot more closely. But it's you don't respecting the fact that, to me, again, that it's 72 hours from the previous game before you can do anything of fully maximal level. You still have to respect that, and I think that is what I've learned from the course. We've all had coaches that, okay, you play Sunday and you play Saturday, and on the Wednesday the coach says, well, we still have 2 days. Like, can't we just do a bigger 11 against 11? We always do it on this day. We still have 2 days to recover, but knowing you have one less day prior, that respecting that is still very important. And so, no, you can't do a normal green day like you normally would, but can we really shorten everything to give a little bit of what the team needs and what the head coach wants, but you're still being safe, respecting the fact that players are not recovered yet. And I think I found being pretty successful doing 11 against 11 in more small spaces where you are controlling the amount of extensibility and running, and you can get some of the same pictures, but it's funny because if I would always look back at some of the exercises you see that Mourinho did, as he was at Chelsea and many years ago, and he would do 11 to 11 all the time on such really small fields sometimes, right? I remember on his recovery day, he would do 11 to 11 inside the penalty box, right? Things like that. And so I think it's taking those types of ideas